In this video podcast, I hope to get through the other changes to the 1-to-4 family residential contract. This new contract with these changes will be available on ZipForms on January 3rd. Between then and February 1st, either the current contract or the new contract is approved for a license holder to use. On or after February 1st, 2023, only the new contract will be approved for use. Don has already presented 2 video podcasts going over the changes to paragraph 3A, the defined terms starting in paragraph 5, and the notices outlined in paragraph 6. Today, I will start with the change to paragraph 7F, which addresses completion of the repairs seller agrees to perform. The paragraph now requires seller for any repairs he or she agrees to perform to provide the buyer with copies of documentation from the repair persons, showing the scope of the work and payment for the work completed, and to transfer the available warranties at seller's expense, which was previously a buyer expense. Prior to this addition, many buyers were frustrated to realize the contract did not require the seller to provide receipts for work done. It just required the seller to do the repairs and left it to the buyer to do his or her own inspection to make sure that the repairs were completed. Many agents added the delivery of receipts requirement in the repair amendment. Now, the contract takes care of that. A minor change was made with reference to the paragraph providing for a residential service contract. Rather than referring to the provider as being a residential service company, the contract references the provider as provider or administrator licensed by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. Clearly, details matter to the committee. An important addition to the contract comes under paragraph 9B5. Finally, under this new paragraph, the contract addresses who pays for any private transfer fee that may be due at closing. Prior to this addition, only the notice requirement for a seller to give notice to a buyer of the existence of any private transfer fee was addressed. The contract did not address who paid for it. Paragraph 9B5 now reads, private transfer fees, as defined by Chapter 5, Subchapter G of the Texas Property Code, will be the obligation of seller unless provided otherwise in this contract. Paragraph 11, the famous special provisions paragraph, was once again revised in an attempt to make even more clear that special provisions are not to be used by license holders other than to insert business or factual details. This is a never-ending battle between TREC and license holders. The notice provision of the contract was modified to simply provide a line to insert an email address of anyone who wants a courtesy copy of notices delivered under the contract. Finally, as Don mentioned in last week's podcast, the committee originally proposed deleting the addendum containing notice of obligation to pay improvement district assessment in paragraph 22, the list of available addenda for use. However, since paragraph 6E7 was not revised to remove the sentence stating that the PID addendum is attached to this contract, the committee ended up leaving the addenda containing notice of obligation to pay improvement district assessment in paragraph 22. We will follow up with a video podcast addressing changes made to the addenda to a contract with a focus on the change made to the addenda for property subject to mandatory membership in a property owners association. As always, Merry Christmas, and please use us as your trusted resource for results.